I'm Morgan Byers, Secretary of the Speech and Debate Team, and I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your day to judge Lincoln-Douglas debate. Lincoln-Douglas debate, also referred to as LD, is a debate between two people, one person taking the affirmative or pro side and one person taking the negative or con side of the debate. They're going to be debating something called a resolution, which is also known as a topic. Now, there are a few key elements to a Lincoln-Douglas debate case that you need to know in order to understand a round. The biggest thing that you'll hear is a value, and each debater will present their own value. A value is what we're striving for in the round. It's the end goal, the thing we ought to value. You'll hear this defended in a few different ways, and when you're judging it, you need to weigh a value on how achievable it is, how well the debater achieves their value, and lastly, how important their value is overall. And this value is going to be achieved through something called a criterion. So for example, if my value is life, I could achieve it through the criterion of planting trees. And you'll judge a criterion in much the same way. You'll look at whose is more important, whose is more achievable, and whose attains their value the best and the most solidly. This isn't the only part of making a case, though. You're also going to hear something called contentions, and contentions will normally be presented to you by saying contention 1 or 2 or 3, depending on what number it is, and then they'll have a tagline, which is basically a summary of the contention that they're about to present to you. Within their contentions, they'll usually back up their claims with evidence, and it's most commonly presented in the form of a card. A card is presented by saying the last name of the author that wrote the piece of evidence and then the year in which it was written. After that, the debater will go into explaining what the actual evidence within the card says, directly citing the author. So for example, if I said Butler 98, that means that I was about to present to you a card or a piece of evidence written by someone whose last name was Butler in the year 1998. These are the basic components of a case. So then, when you're going in to actually judge a round, you'll get something called a ballot, which is where you'll write your general critiques and your reason for deciding who won within a debate round. There are these two boxes here for you to write the critiques about the debaters and their cases in general. You don't need to necessarily write the arguments presented by the debaters within these two spaces. For that, you can use just a separate piece of paper. Right here, instead, you could put critiques, such as, I didn't quite understand your value, or your first contention was good, but your second and third contentions were a little bit weak. Then down here, you're going to write your reason for decision, also known as an RFD. So for here, for example, you could write something like, I chose to decide and weigh the round on the value debate because it was the best debate. I went for the negative in this case because the negative achieved their value better. And that would be something like an RFD. However, this isn't all that happens within a ballot. There's also something up here called speaker points, and you'll see AF points and negative points. The speaker points are on a scale of about 20 to 30, 30 being the best and 20 being the worst. What speaker points are a way to gauge the debater's ability to speak within a round and present to you. It's not necessarily based on who wins or loses. It can be based on who's the most eloquent and professional within a round. And so, for example, if the affirmative within the debate was really immature and rude, you might give them low speaker points, such as a 23. Whereas if the negative within the round was very professional and well-mannered and well-spoken, you could give them a 30. So this is the main way that you're going to judge the round. You'll also hear something called flights within a round. So what a flight is basically there will be two different debates happening within the room that you'll be judging. You'll be judging the first flight, or flight 1, and then you'll be judging the second flight, flight 2. So you'll have two separate ballots for each of the flights, and the debates will just happen one right after another. So they won't mix at all, and you won't have to worry about keeping things straight because most debaters already understand flights, and they'll be able to keep it straight for you. Another thing that you might hear within a round is an opponent or a debater asking you for something called your paradigms. A paradigm is simply something that you like to see in a round and what styles of debate you accept. You should be honest about your experience level within debate so that the debaters know how to tailor their speaking and their cases to you. You need to tell them what speed of talking you're capable of understanding, because if you tell them that you can understand them when they speak fast, they're going to speak faster. However, if you tell them that you prefer for them to speak slow and for them to make eye contact with you, then debaters should try and conform to that and speak slower and make more eye contact with you. These are the basics of judging LD debate. However, if you have any more questions, please feel free to visit our information desk or ask anyone wearing a speech and debate t-shirt at the tournament.